Seems like it's now becoming the annual battle for the best talent in the land between Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. Georgia finishing well as we stand here about mid-afternoon on National Signing Day, what has become the National Signing Day, with about 80% of the players going to be signed here in December rather than the first week of February, although certainly that will be important as well. We got Savannah Lee Richardson on the line from Bulldog Illustrated. Savannah, I'm going to talk extra loud to keep you awake. I'm not going to let you drift off to sleep. I'm not going to let it happen. If I could reach through the screen and nudge you from time to time, I would do that. So Savannah's basically been up all night writing, researching, getting us prepared for National Signing Day. So to you, Savannah, I bow because that shows some dedication.
This is actually, even before I started writing for Bulldog Illustrated, my aunt and I are huge National Signing Day people. She's actually took me to my first National Signing Day at the age of 9. And from 9 to the time I graduated high school, I think we missed one National Signing Day, and that was when it was in February. And my birthday is February 4th, so that was part of my birthday is National Signing Day. So all the 5 stars and 4 stars that Georgia used to get are kind of like birthday presents to me, or how I used to look at it when I was a kid. But yeah, I've been doing this well over 10 years now. Well, yeah, 9, 10 to 20, yeah, over 10 years now, and I don't ever get tired of it. This is probably one of my biggest passions is National Signing Day, and today did not let down.
You were 9 years old and you understood what was going on. You understood the process.
Well, see, Mark, I didn't really ever play with dolls or any kind of girly things growing up. I was always into t-ball and sports, and
Okay.
My grandfather was actually a coach when I was really younger. So I've always been into athletics, especially football, and as much as I could get into it, I would. Now, I probably don't understand it to the extent I do now. Probably did that more around, high school age, but I was there. I knew who we were trying to find, who we were trying to get, and I just remember sitting at the blind pig with my aunt, watching all the rivals guys do their thing and stuff. So it's a big part of my family.
Well, Savannah, for as much as we would like to continue down this path of memory lane and hear some stories about your National Signing Days from the past, and I could certainly share some as well. But we're going to focus on what is right now the number 2 recruiting class in the nation. According to pretty much all the major services, ESPN just bumped up Georgia from 3 to 2 based on some good news coming down just in the last 15 or 20 minutes.
Yep, Nakobe Dean chose Georgia over Ole Miss, LSU, and Alabama. The rumor was it was Georgia and Alabama, and then it was Georgia, Ole Miss, and for a good while today that I actually thought that he was going to end up staying at home and going to Ole Miss over Alabama and Georgia, but he ended up pulling out that red shirt. Kind of tricked me a little bit when he pulled up the Jordan box, thinking Texas or somewhere, like a Jordan school that is up, but had him predicted in my class probably since mid-May, early June. And the kid just loves Georgia. He's a really smart guy. He wants to major in engineering. And the last time I talked to him, he actually wants to do pre-med, which eventually works into sports prosthetics and stuff. He's still kind of thinking about it, but very intelligent. And in my opinion, he is the biggest pickup of the day, regardless of the quarterback flip or all the guys signing where they're supposed to. He is the guy for me in 2019. His instincts just remind me of a not so old Bulldog alum in Roquan Smith, and I'm really excited to see what Dan Lanning and Glenn Schumann can do with him, the 2 outside and inside linebackers coach, along with all the other guys with Kirby and everything. But he's so instinctive, he's strong, and I think his intelligence is what really makes him a special guy. And he's a super humble, super sweet kid. He's not all about the limelight either. And I think that's probably why he's another one of my favorites, is because he's not all about the hype. And he's not all about the fame and the glory. He just wants to go to school, play football, and get a degree. So he's a big one. And then earlier this morning, we got 4-star dual threat quarterback Mathis. I don't want to pronounce his first name wrong. If you can, it's Dwan, maybe?
I thought so.
Yeah, I don't want to butcher his name, but Dwan Mathis surprised most of us. I kind of heard his name last night through my sources that he could be a possibility. went from that to maybe he couldn't get in for early enrollee, but about 10 minutes before he signed, Roddy Nabulsi from Rivals actually broke the news on Twitter and said that he would be flipping from the Buckeyes. So that was a pretty nice surprise after the Justin Fields news a couple days earlier. But yeah, those are the two big guys or the two big pickups that we got, and everybody else that was committed to Georgia has sent in their paperwork except for John Rice Plumlee. He's actually waiting.
Well, Savannah, if Justin Fields ends up going to Ohio State, then I'll consider that a trade, and I won't be that mad at you. But otherwise, I may have to hold this against you. But so again, Kirby Smart is finishing strong. Anybody else out there between now and when he hits the podium that we would expect could either go a good way or the other way?
Not today, probably not. I think we are finished for the most part. It was Dean, Sanders, and Tyreek Stevenson has actually decided to push back his commitment to the February signing period instead of now. He announced earlier that Miami and Georgia were the top two. Not sure why. He already did that last week, but he got in with all his other senior buddies that he played high school football with and made that announcement. Trey Sanders, we were all kind of feeling really strong with him this morning. Late last night, I actually got a phone call from my friends. It's a really good source. And he said Georgia. He said he just let the staff know that Georgia's it. And then this morning, it was Georgia. And then about 11 o'clock or so, it completely switched. And then it was Alabama. And then Florida and Texas got thrown into the mix of things. And in the last 10 years that I've been doing this has probably been the most dramatic situation going down to the wire. I don't think anybody until about 5 minutes before he took the stage knew that he was going to sign with Alabama, because the camp would go Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, Alabama. It was getting pretty hectic trying to figure out what he was going to do and have whatever article that we needed to have ready. And so kind of missed out on him. But then again, we got 4-star Kenny McIntosh. He actually sent in his letter of intent. And I wasn't expecting him to do that today. I was expecting him to probably do it in February at that time. But he went ahead and sent it in. So we already have the number 10 running back in the country coming in. So missed out on Sanders and missed out on Noah Cain, but not really a missed out. We have plenty of running backs at Georgia, and so I don't think we're really hurting too much there. But we'll be waiting on a couple guys for the February signing period. Jaden Hazelwood, he's still the number 1 wide receiver, is choosing between us, Miami, Tennessee. He made those cleats that he wore for the state championship, announcing his top whatever it was. And then a 5-star offensive tackle out of West Virginia, Darnell Wright. He is a Tennessee kind of lean right now, but also West Virginia is in it as well. Sam Pittman has been up to West Virginia to see him, in-house visit, trying to pull him from up there and keep him away from the Volunteers. He's probably going to be a big guy to keep an eye out for in February, along with maybe Kiar Elam, who is a defensive back from Florida. He could still be in the mix of things. It's kind of still up in the air how the last couple spots will go, but I'm leaning towards Darnell Wright, Stevenson, and Hazelwood if the staff can close in on them.
So Justin Fields, of course, has entered the NCAA's transfer portal. That doesn't necessarily mean that he has to transfer. That decision is yet to be made technically, but everyone's expecting, since he's made this move, that that's what he's going to go ahead and do. Jake Fromm has obviously had another excellent season in leading the team to the SEC championship game. So your thoughts about the way this has gone down, Fields' use on the field by Kirby Smart, which has been under question in regards to him getting some playing time, but maybe not necessarily being used to his liking in regards to being very much locked down as a runner.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields made a decision that will help him beneficial a bit. He made a business decision. If you want to put it in a short, simple sentence, Justin Fields made a business decision to do what was best for him. However, in my opinion, he's hired a lawyer. He's gotten the family has gotten a lawyer to work on the hardship waiver to try to get him to be able to play immediately. And other than that, it's still kind of okay, so are you going to transfer or not? He was at practice yesterday. He was at practice Monday. We don't get practice availability today, but hopefully tomorrow. And if he's there, then I'm just kind of like, well, if you're transferring, why are you still practicing with the team? Which is kind of confusing. I think some reports were out there. There's been so many rumors. It's kind of like, let's try to find what's there's truth to this, what's not true to this. But evidently, I think he won't be making a decision till maybe after the bowl games. That's the last thing that I heard from my people, but I'm not 100% sure. I wish him the best of luck if he does transfer. Georgia would love to probably still have him and keep him on that roster. He's a heck of a quarterback. But, you got to make the best decision and for what it is for you. It can't be about what everybody else wants and stuff. It's more about what he needs as a football player. I will say, I don't, if he does go anywhere, he's going to have to compete regardless. And if he does end up going to Ohio State, like you said, I don't know that he can beat out Tate Martell, because I don't know if Haskins is leaving or not, but Tate Martell, him and Jake Fromm went neck and neck in recruiting all throughout that entire campaign. And that kid, he is so good. And so he's going to have competition there. And he's also going to have competition if he decides to go to Oklahoma. I mean, there's just competition everywhere. So I'm not sure the mindset behind that either. But as long as he picks a place and he's happy and he achieves his goals, that's what I hope for him personally. But as a journalist also, it's kind of like, all right, dude, you knew what you were getting into when you signed with Georgia. You knew you would have to come in and compete. And in my opinion, one more, more development is going to do nothing but help you out as a player. You have 4 games. Why not stay and be a team player and become more developed by a coach that you have a lot of respect for, James Coley.
So Justin Fields, basically, if I'm doing the math correctly, if Jake Fromm moves on to the NFL, even if he moves on early, would Justin Fields still he'd have 1 year or 2?
2. Yeah.
You'd have 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd roughly have anywhere from 24 to 28 games with full seasons there at Georgia to be able to get himself ready for the NFL draft and show what he can do. He's going to, if he wants to play at the highest levels, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia, those kind of programs, you're not just going to take over the job, even though you were the number 1 rated quarterback in the nation. That's established, done. You're on campus. Let's move on and make it a competition. That the guy that's got the most talent doesn't always win the job. And I think Justin Fields was banking on that. And I don't want to put necessarily second guess his decision or judge his thought process, but Jake Fromm is not, I don't think most people would measure his talent to be Justin Fields' talent, but that doesn't always add up. Tom Brady's not necessarily the most talented quarterback in the NFL spinning a football and running, obviously, that portion of it we know, but that doesn't add up, especially at that position, to the best player.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, on paper, it looks like Justin Fields should be able to come in and take over right away, but he does not possess the leadership qualities that Jake Fromm does yet. And that is Jake Fromm's team. I mean, the guys love Justin. They all are, that's a brotherhood. They all care for each other. It's a big family, but at the same time, they put a lot of trust and they've worked a lot longer with Jake Fromm, and that would come with Justin Fields. And what's funny is I was actually having a similar conversation about this earlier with one of my good friends who I've known forever, and he made the same reference about Tom Brady and Jake Fromm, about how Tom Brady's not necessarily the best on paper. Well, he is on all the stats and stuff, but he made a similar comparison as you did. But yeah, Justin Fields just gonna have to develop some more. It's not like he looked completely terrible when he did get playing time, but at the same time, he looked like a freshman. And I know a lot of people wanted him to come out and be similar to Jake Fromm, but what a lot of people don't realize is how much of a student of the game Jake Fromm is and how much time he spends in the film room and works on the technical stuff. And I don't know, I can't say the same about Fields because I haven't been told that or seen it. So, but yeah, I don't, it's kind of like, it was a shock, but at the same time, you kind of almost expected it because he wants to play in time too. But wish him all the best of luck if he does decide to transfer.
Yeah, it's a unique position, meaning the quarterback position from the standpoint of the leadership and the essentials of the mentality and beyond the physical that's expected from that player. But it's also different from any other position on the field because you just have one that you need. Therefore, if you're a 5-star offensive tackle and you are signed by Georgia and you're considered the best player in the country at your position, but you don't turn out to be the best player, well, you're still going to play. If you turn out not to be quite as good as we thought, but you're still going to make the rotation, you're going to be along the offensive line, unless you're a complete bust. And maybe you're the third best offensive lineman on the Georgia football team. And you were supposed to be the best in the country, but you're still going to play. If you're the quarterback, you got to win the job. You got to be the guy. You're the only guy. And that's what makes it unique. And that's why we see this just rash of quarterbacks flying all over the place, because they're looking for a paycheck eventually. And if they know they get into the right situation, then they can at least play one full season like a Mitchell Trubisky and show, hey, I'm NFL ready. And then it pays off. So I can't fault him. I don't think you can either for doing what he needs to do. But I would hope that he just, looks out for the team as much as he looks out for himself. It would be an odd situation if he continues in practice and, God forbid, anything happened to Jake Fromm on the field at the Superdome, that Justin Fields is relieving Jake Fromm in a bowl game and then turns around and transfers right after that. Would be very strange.
That would be a complete disaster. Well, maybe not a complete disaster, but it would just be like, what would you do in that situation as Justin Fields? Like, would you stay or would you continue on in the transfer situation? But fingers crossed. If not, Matthew Downing would be the next guy up behind Justin or Jake Fromm, and he played a little bit towards the end of the season, but I don't know that I would trust him against a Texas defense. So,
did you get any big quarterbacks in the class?
We got the 4-star dual threat.
Mathis.
Yes. And then we also have 4-star John Rice Plumlee, who is considered an athlete because he's just as good with his legs as he is throwing the ball in the air. But he has actually pushed back his decision time. And it actually looks like Georgia's actually going to blue shirt him, which means he would still come and do everything, but eventually get his scholarship, I guess, at the end of the summer or whenever the date is to have that 85 needs to be done. He wants to play his senior year of baseball. He's a good baseball player as well. So I don't fault him for that. Go have fun and enjoy your senior season.
Savannah Lee Richardson working like a fool these days for Bulldog Illustrated and so forth. So please check out her work there. Savannah, we appreciate you keeping us straight on Georgia football. Vying for the #1 recruiting class in the nation. Will probably fall a little bit short of that, but what does it matter? When you're in the top echelon, it is what it is, and there are just 5 and 4 stars all over the place on this roster, and they continue to flood in.
I love to be here, love being on with you, and recruiting is always the most fun time of the year because you always get to see where the next 4 years could go with a program. And to be honest, Alabama can have the #1 recruiting class this year, but getting Nakobe Dean and getting Clay Webb out of the state of Alabama, especially Clay Webb, that's a win in my book. Any other pickups today were just icing on the cake for this already impressive and loaded class. So proud of Kirby Smart and proud of that entire staff for bringing in who they have.
All right, Savannah, you have yourself a good night and get some sleep at some point.
Thank you. I will after Kirby Smart's press conference.